Well, it appears the Greek people have voted. And as predicted, the Syriza, not sure how they pronounce that, party has won by a very large margin. And of course, as soon as they won, their leader said basically what he had been saying, been promising. You can basically kiss the euro goodbye, you can kiss the troika goodbye, you can kiss the austerity measures goodbye, and you can kiss the oligarchs that have controlled Greece for so long goodbye. To make a bold statement like that, I think it's pretty safe to say this particular party that won, maybe they mean business. Maybe they're really, truly gonna do it. And I was reading some forums and stuff about this, and one title was something like, Greece people, do you realize what, how bad you just damaged yourself, or something like that. So I'm like, I gotta read this one. Like, why would this be a bad thing? Iceland basically did it. They didn't go and pay all the debt that their criminal politicians and bankers, some of which they've prosecuted, decisions they made. They didn't go and say, well, since they were in charge and now we're in charge, they made some promises that we're just going to have to keep. So all you citizens of Iceland, sorry, I know we made some promises, but you're just going to have to suck it up and we're going to have to pay off this debt. No. They said, we're not paying off this debt. It's illegitimate. See ya. And the politicians scattered like cockroaches. And the bankers in Iceland. And all of a sudden, as I reported recently, Iceland's been doing phenomenally well, financially speaking. Growth of 5%, I think, per year, or last year, year over year. How could that happen? Because the same thing was said about Iceland. Oh, it's going to be bad, they're going to do this, or they can't do that. Didn't seem like it was too bad after all. So I'm hearing the same thing, one particular post actually. And I almost never go and check the mainstream media. Even though sometimes I like to just get that opposing view just to see what kind of propaganda and pure crap they're trying to push on, the world. About how bad it is, how terrible of a decision it was for Greece, it's going to be bad, blah, 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 I haven't even looked. Have not even looked. Honestly, don't care to. But if Iceland can do it, and Greece is in far worse shape than Iceland was, why can't Greece do it? All I keep hearing about, these people, they have to pay back these obligations, and that's another thing this new leader said of Greece. He said, just so, basically, just a little FYI, prior government promises that have been made don't apply to us now that we're taking over power. Prior government promises and commitments to the club do not follow through to the new party. We will not make good on these promises. So once again, they feel like Iceland felt like these were illegitimate to begin with, so we're not going to follow through. There's a such thing as bankruptcy. Yes, even on a national level, from country to country, there is such a thing called bankruptcy protection. It does exist. It doesn't just exist for Americans when we're really down on our luck, we've lost our job, whatever, and they get all this debt and bills. I'm just going to file bankruptcy. Yeah, that applies to us. But it applies to businesses too, right? Businesses can do it, countries can do it, and as a matter of fact, local, state governments can do it, and of course the federal government could do it to other countries. We haven't crossed that bridge yet, because all we have to do is print worthless dollars to pay them all off. Oh, we're in debt to you. Here you go. See ya. You print it. Of course, they're going to be upset with the value of what they get, but regardless, we can still print it. So we don't necessarily have to file for bankruptcy, but other countries certainly can and have. So you would have to ask yourself, why then didn't Greece and several other countries since the 2008 crisis, why didn't any of them file for bankruptcy protection? Because they were told it's not the right thing to do. You've got all this debt that you owe people. Whoa, what do you mean we owe? We didn't want the debt. We begged you not to take on the debt. And your filthy, rotten politicians that you put in power in our country forced us into that debt. And now you're telling us bankruptcy is not a good option. Don't do it. Because you got that debt, you need to pay it. Okay, what happens when you can't pay it? It's no different than, I lost my job. The bank, the car loan, all these things that are going to come, hey, you owe that money. You got the loan out, you got to pay it. I understand that. However, I lost my job. I don't have another one lined up. And feeding my family food is more important than paying that car payment. I'm sorry. And the credit card payment. I'm sorry. What can they do? Sure, they could file a lawsuit. But once you've already told them, look, I lost my job. I don't have it. It's gone. In 2 weeks, I have to leave. Or I got fired today, whatever the case may be. I got let go today. You could say whatever. So at that point, these people, creditors know, why would we even waste more money filing a lawsuit, paying our lawyers to go after these people when we know they're going to just file for bankruptcy protection, which will pretty much throw our lawsuit completely out. It'll, you're going to show, you could go forward with it, but once they go for bankruptcy and get the okay, it's going to get thrown out of court. See ya. It's done. You're going to send them the letter. Okay, here's my letter of approval for bankruptcy. Mail this letter, mail this letter, mail this letter, all parties involved. See ya. Nothing you can do now. So they would know this. They wouldn't waste their time in court is what I'm saying. But that is an option. I can file for bankruptcy protection. So can a nation. Except, it would be no different than this. Same example. Lost my job. And husband, wife, kids, right? We're going to have to file for bankruptcy protection, guys. I just lost my job, family. We've got a little nest egg built up, but, when I don't have income coming in at all, that we're going to burn through that quickly. We're just going to have to file for bankruptcy. And then the head of the house, whoever that may be, head of the household says, guys, we're going to have to really, really go through some pain and suffering. Why? Just the right thing to do to not file bankruptcy. Yeah, but wait, we understand that, but we don't have a job. Yeah, but still, we got to find a way to come up with this money to keep paying these payments to these creditors. We really should. Hold on. Maybe you didn't hear what we just talked about. So-and-so lost his job. He was the breadwinner of the family. We have no income coming in at all. He was the sole breadwinner. What do you mean we should try to pay them? We can't. Well, as head of the household, president, prime minister, politician, as president of this household, I'm going to go ahead and say we're not filing for bankruptcy. We'll just start selling off all kinds of assets to pay a percent of a percent of a percent of that entire debt owed, only to find out we're going to file bankruptcy later, but we're going to sell off everything in the house, your bed, your sheets, your clothes, sell it all. Pennies on the dollar, of course. Because that's the right thing to do. If it was the right thing to do, who the hell invented bankruptcy laws? Who the hell made that a possibility for people to file for bankruptcy protection when they needed it? When they couldn't pay the bills back. That's why it's there. Greece people, sorry, austerity measures, selling off your private corporation or public companies into private hands, making them private corporations for you to continue paying your waste fees, waste management, electric bill, potentially water bill. We're going to privatize all that so that when you say to them, we don't have the money, it was already high enough, and now you're raising rates on us during this crisis, they're going to say, nah, we got shareholders and we don't deal with a down economy. That's for the that's for you peasants. You're going to keep paying us until a violent revolution starts. just history repeating. So this particular post I read, they were talking about, well, you just wait and see. You guys just hired another crooked politician who promised you the world in a golden basket, basically. And you're going to see they're going to stay with the euro, they're going to continue with that, and you've been lied to. Now, naturally, that's usually how that goes. I mean, that's not a bad statement. That's usually how it goes. Politicians promise you the world. I know everything. I mean, Obama, if you look at his 2008 campaign and his 2012 re-election campaign, they're practically identical. I mean, word for word, you could actually find two sentences, complete sentences, and several, as a matter of fact, that are absolutely identical from 2008 to 2012. And he made the same kind of promises. And isn't it interesting that after he got re-elected, that's when the whole Obamacare thing really got implemented and everything else, right? Because at that point, I don't need to get, had he done that in 2008, Obamacare, we found out it is a tax. And then all this other crap he's talked about recently about getting tax money, we're going to start taxing other things, I was just talking about the other day, I can't think of what it was now, but how's he going to get reelected in 2012 when he does that? Of course, they rig their voting machines anyways, so they could just make it look like it. However, if everybody was really on the same page and is furious with the president, the elite can't allow him to be reelected and show everybody, yeah, the vote's definitely rigged. No, they would just let one of the other puppets take over or whatever. So that's the same thing that this guy's talking about. Promise you the world, and then once I get in office, it's complete opposite. But for this guy, I don't remember his last name, the guy that's now taken over of the Syriza party, whatever, in Greece, for him to come out and use the word oligarchs, talking about we're kicking the oligarchs out, that's like getting out in live TV and saying, hey, I'm going to be the new president if you guys vote for me in America. And by the way, as soon as I take office, I will be sending the banksters to prison, and using the word bankster. Banksters to prison for what they've done. And any other government official that was complicit. And then all of a sudden I'm voted on and I win. And I take that microphone, we won today. And I reiterate and say it again. I'm going to be sending the banksters to prison and all government officials that were complicit. Nobody has immunity. And if I have to quickly write an executive order, just like every other president before me, to do such a thing, I'll do it. And if they stand up, that's unconstitutional. If that's unconstitutional, then every executive order prior to me is also unconstitutional and must be all undone at the same time, including mine. I'll retract mine as well. So I don't think you're going to have that. And, have someone do what he did and say what he said and physically call out everything that went wrong in Greece. The banksters, bankruptcy, they should have filed for bankruptcy, we're not taking on the debt, the euro can go away, etc. So this happened Sunday, today's Monday, and we'll just have to sit back for just a little while and see if this guy does anything of the things he said he would do. My gut feeling is that yes, they're going to. The fact that Switzerland already made their huge move by depegging from the euro right before this happens, and Greece is going to be the second domino to fall. I have a feeling, again, I have a feeling this guy's going to do what he said. They're going to go away from the euro. You already see the euro's back down, with the dollar, it's already fallen some. You can almost see the writing on the wall. And besides, what did Lindsey Williams say? The euro would fall first, and it would have a very terrible ending. And when it happens, you better be prepared in the U.S. because in a few weeks at most, he said, is what he was told, it's going to be coming here. So you better have your precious metals, you better have your house in order financially, food storage, just in case, food storage. It's one of those things I don't talk about all that much, but it is not a bad idea to have. Because even if there's a tiny period, tiny by a few months, where food prices explode in this country, it wouldn't be pretty. Anything that we import in this country probably won't be pretty as far as prices. Exporting is a different story when your dollar collapses, because again, you do become competitive in the marketplace. But anything you import from other nations all of a sudden sucks. And we do import some stuff in this country. The good news is that we have the ability, if we really wanted to in this country, to not have to import a single thing, gasoline included, as you know. And when that is the case, it doesn't matter about importing, because you don't need to import anymore. You can say, look, we're starting our own currency. We don't care about trading with the rest of the world. We don't need to, as a matter of fact. We got everything we need inside here. You would create massive jobs, massive manufacturing would come back, the whole 9 yards. Farming, again, would start to build back up. But that's just not going to happen all of a sudden, like overnight. It takes time. And during that time, it's going to suck to live in any country that this happens to. So for now, all I can say is let's see what happens with Greece. Take care.